Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, are you scared to take your medical coding exam? Watch this. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, this video also applies if you are sitting for your health information management or health information technology degree designation. Okay, so here we go. All right, I've gotten a couple comments from folks that are saying, Blue, I'm scared. I'm scared to take the test. I've been in school, but now the time has come and I can't bring myself to take this test, to schedule the test, to sit for the test. I don't know what to do. All right, so for every problem, there is a solution. Sometimes people are afraid, and you have to really kind of look at why are you afraid. If you're afraid because you feel like maybe the program was too fast and you didn't get adequate training and you feel like maybe you need a little bit more time to study, that's okay. And if you feel that way, there's a good chance that there's a reason for that. So I would go ahead and start planning on studying additional time anyway. Now, if you say, well, Blue, I need this because I need to hurry up and get out there and make some money. It doesn't mean that you have to stop working wherever you were working. All right. I still continued to work in the bar. I still continued to clean houses and do all that stuff while I was in school, while I was preparing for my exam. And then when I took my exam and I was out there looking, I was still working in those jobs. So it's not something where you can't work if you are studying for your exam. You certainly can. It may not be in the job that you want, but that's just even more motivation. So the thing that you need to start off by doing is make sure that you have a set date. There's a lot of people that finish the program, finish the school, and then they say, okay, well, I'll study for a month. And then the month starts, and then it ends. And then they're like, well, no, I need a couple more months. No, I need 3 more months. And then by the time you know it, that 6 months has already gone by. And slowly but surely, all of those things that you learned in school are starting to fade away. And I can guarantee you that a lot of people stop really studying around that time. And so it almost becomes impossible after a while, right? So you have to set a date. As soon as you finish the school or as soon as you're about to finish your program for medical coding, you want to set a date. What date do you want to take your test? And that date needs to be realistic, folks. If you have not been studying as hard, and by that I mean if you're studying less than 20 hours per week, that's what I'm talking about. If you are studying less than 20 hours, you're probably in that boat. You need to pick up the pace. So set a realistic time frame of when you want to take the test. 1 month is great, 30 days after you graduate your program, so that way you can have time to schedule it, get ready, go find out where the place is, have all of your books and everything that you've gone over and everything, and that you're set and ready to go. Now that's if you've been studying. If you've been studying those 20 hours a week, like I've been after y'all to do that, yeah, then you can by all means go ahead and take it within 30 days. Some people tell me, well, Blue, I think I could take it within 2 weeks. By all means. These are just suggestions for those that kind of need a little bit of guidance. If you already got yourself together and you know what you're doing, by all means, all right? But if you have not been taking the time to study and you say, Blue, my program was too fast, they promised me that I'd learn it in 4 months. No. You need more time. So if you're in a 4-month program, look to be studying for another 5 months on your own. All right, that's just my advice anyway. Some people can get away with another 4 additional months, but to me, if you really want to walk in there confidently, because that's the whole goal, right? Is to walk in confident when you go to take your test, then you want to make sure that you're going to give yourself that time. You're not in a race with anybody else. So if you are thinking that, well, my other classmates have taken their exam, don't look at those people. You need to look at yourself. Everybody's different, and everybody's journey in medical coding is different. So set that date. If you need that additional time, set that additional time. If you moderately studied and you're like, well, but I think I could use a little bit more additional time, 3 months. Try not to go past 3 months, past your graduation date, because again, the more time you spend away from graduation, the more you're going to forget. The exception is those who are in those 4-month programs that I tell y'all not to go through. I actually beg y'all not to go through those because it's just too fast to have to learn what we know as medical coders. You know, the medical coding and health information industry can give you a lot. It can give you so much as a career because it's very rewarding. But the only way that it's going to be able to do that for you is if you give it back what you are going to expect from it. Okay, so get yourself a date. That you got to set yourself on that date. Then pay for the exam. Go ahead and get it scheduled and everything like that. Because that's another thing too that people tell me. Well, Bleu, I just don't have the money to take the exam. Okay, but you've been in the program. And you know that at the end of this program, you're going to have to sit for that $300 or $400 exam, right? Let's just say roughly $400, because if you're not a member, or even if you are a member, you still have to pay for the membership fee. So it's a little over $400. So you know during that time that you're in the school, you know you need to save that money, put that money aside, or make sure that you have it ready for when you go to pay for your exam. Okay, guys, there's no excuse. It's not a surprise at the end that you have to take a certification exam. Now, this certification, the CCA, CCS, Ccs-P, or the CPC, if you're looking to be a medical coder, it's going to unlock a lot of doors for you. It will, but you have to be ready, all right, guys? And don't act surprised, because again, this is all part of the deal. And yes, it is a lot of information. And if you're curious about the credentials, check my channel out, guys. I've got so many tips on studying, on working with flashcards, and just my different recommendations for books and things, and how to study that can help you. So check my videos out, guys. That's the thing that I gotta say. But once you have that date in mind, then you need to make a conscious effort to be putting in that 20 hours per week until you get to that test date. And not only that, you need to be reading those coding guidelines once per week. Now, a lot of you hem and haw about that. And guys, I'm going to tell you this. If you hem and haw about reading coding guidelines now, wait till you get into the real world and you're reading charts all day long. I was going to say codes. Wait till you're reading charts all day long. You're going to be reading and reading and reading. Op notes, encounters, rounds. You're going to be reading all kinds of things. Plus, you're going to have to do your research. Plus, you're going to have to look at all this other stuff. So there's a lot of reading that's involved. So getting you to be used to that reading, that intensive reading from those coding guidelines, is setting you up for success, because it's going to get you more conditioned to read lots of words. And that's another thing too. These tests are timed. If you are not a fast reader, you will suffer, guys. It's just a matter of like, okay, we've got to learn to pick up the pace when it comes to reading. It's like people that are athletes. These athletes that are out there and they're runners and they're sprinters. Do you think they got over like that overnight? No. They condition themselves. They condition their bodies. It's the same thing that we have to do. And people don't think that learning medical coding is a physical thing. It is. Because trust me, you will be tired when you're done studying with these books, and you will, like, your brain will just be like, okay, I need a break. So that's why I say, if you condition yourself, that you learn to start reading faster, it's going to be easier for you when you get into that test. You're going to walk in there more confidently, because while you don't have to memorize those coding guidelines, if you know, you're going to be able to recall them easier. And if you look at the domains say that they concentrate on like critical thinking and like those recall, being able to recall. That's part of your recall practice. All right, so that's the thing, that if you're doing that, you're not going to have that fear. And if you say, well, Bleu, I am a nervous test taker. See, when we say things out loud about ourselves, our brain is listening. Oh, okay, we're a nervous test taker. Yes, Bleu, I get so nervous, my hands start to sweat, and I just get so nervous, and I freeze, and I lock up. Okay, our brain is like, okay, we're going to freeze, we're going to lock up, our hands are going to sweat, we're not going to be able to concentrate, because we are so focused on the fact that we get so nervous and scared of tests. But let's look at this from a logical standpoint. What is a test? A test is a review of the things that you already know. You're not walking in there not knowing things. You are walking in there already with an understanding of your ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS if you're going to get tested on it. ICD-10 PCS, you're going to get tested on that. And you're going to go in there like, okay, I've got this. It's going to look familiar. So when you start to put yourself down and say, I'm a nervous test taker, I'm a nervous test taker, you have to stop yourself because you're self-sabotaging at that point. And there's a lot of people that will ruin their whole career even before they start because they do that to themselves. Everybody is different. There are some people, if your biggest fear of taking this test is that you are going to fail, there are doctors, there are nurses, there are people with advanced degrees who have failed the medical coding exams, and they had to take them a couple of times before they pass it. And so if that is like, oh, okay, really? Yeah, because it's a completely different language. Medical coders are a different type of people, all right? And because of this, these exams are very different from any other exam. It is not unusual for me to get a message from a nurse who said, Bleu, the NCLEX was easier. and I've heard nothing but horror stories about how hard the NCLEX is. And I understand that the NCLEX is hard. So are these medical coding exams. So that's something that you need to really consider. It's not meant to scare you guys. Again, I don't ever say things to scare you. I say things to prepare you. But again, it's about conditioning yourself and getting ready and getting yourself prepared. Getting yourself on that schedule, 20 hours per week. So that way you can get through those and you can learn. Bleu, I don't understand diagnosis coding. I still get confused with X, Y, and Z. Find yourself a mentor, find a tutor, find somebody who can explain it to you, all right? Now, tutors, you're going to have to put a little bit of money out, and that's okay because you're paying somebody who is already knowledgeable about the subject to be able to explain it to you. And that's just something that you need to do. I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it. I mean, it's an investment in you. And there's a lot of people that think that, oh, well, I don't need that. I could just figure it out on my own. And they'll sit there and spin their wheels when they could have just paid a fee to have somebody tutor them and then been done with it. But guys, it's really all on you. And you can find tutors anywhere. There's a ton of tutors on LinkedIn. I'm a tutor myself. My rate is in the description box below. So I want you all to set yourselves up on a schedule so that way you have that date. There's no going back on that date. There's no changing the date. There's no pushing the date out. That date is there. It's locked in. It's paid for. So now all you have to do is do your part and do your 20 hours per week. You read your coding guidelines once per week, and then you get all that study time in so that way you can walk in there confidently. And then when you leave out of there and you either find out or you have to wait about your results, you'll know that, hey, I did something. I did something for myself, that I set a goal, and I did, and I took my exam. And even if that's the goal that you complete, that's still great. Because you know what? A lot of times people will let the fear of these tests stifle them from even trying. So you want to make sure that you at least give yourself that chance to try. Well, Bleu, I don't want to waste money. Okay, then make sure that you're prepared then. Make sure that you're going over your exercises. The books that I recommend are in the description box below. And the independent study list, guys, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but toot. Because there's been people in the last couple of weeks that have told me, Bleu, I sat for my CCS exam using your independent study list and video, and I passed. Guys, I'm not telling you these things just to hear myself talk, okay? I'm telling you these things because these were the things that I used to help me. You know, I took the CCS and the Ccs-P in 2021. Took the Ccs-P first, and then I took the CCS in the fall. And when I did, I studied and I studied and I studied because I did not have inpatient coding experience. That ICD-10 PCS scared me. And as a, at the time, 13-year veteran coder, oh yeah. You want to talk about like, okay, I'm 13 years in and I'm still scared. Yeah, but I'm also going to sit here and acknowledge my fear, yes, but I'm going to take the bull by the horns and say, I've got to give this all I've got. So not only, you know, am I having this YouTube channel that's growing and still growing, but it was really growing at the time. then I have a Patreon, and then trying to keep up with all of that and trying to do all of these things, I still managed to get that time squirreled in and having a full-time 40-hour-a-week job. It is possible, guys, but you have to make priorities for the things that you want to do in life. And this test is going to unlock that door, because if you start getting all worried about finding a job, you're really not focusing on the right things. Because people will get into these programs, they want to know how much money they're going to make at the end when they start working. Okay, so you haven't even gone through the program yet. You haven't even taken the test yet. You haven't even looked for a job yet you want to think about the money. The money is great. Let's just leave it at that, okay? It's great. Leave it alone. Concentrate on learning the coding. Concentrate on getting your test done. Concentrate on getting those credentials on your name. Concentrate on then doing all the other things that you need to do. But if you are preoccupied and worried about finding a job and how much money you're going to make, guys, you're setting yourselves up to fail, okay? Get yourself on a schedule, and I'm going to say it again and again because y'all still ask me the question, well, I don't know if I'm ready. How many hours are you studying? Maybe 5 or 6 hours a week? Unacceptable, guys. Unacceptable. You need to do 20. You do 20, trust me. You do 20 hours per week for a whole month. That's 80 hours. 80 hours. Now you tell me, we're already going to be in February 1st. All right? 2 days. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday's February the 1st. You do that. You start today, and you come back to me February 28th after you've been doing 20 hours a week. And then you tell me how confident you're starting to feel. Because there's a huge difference between people who condition themselves to study for 20 hours per week versus people who are just being lackadaisical and they want to find those, how can I crack the medical coding exam? I really hate that. That's the thing that just, it really sickens me because of the things that we have to know in this industry. And people want to just slide on by and do these little crack the exam things. Unacceptable. Really unacceptable. Because when you get out there in the real world and then you're around these veteran coders and they're going to be looking at you like, okay, this person doesn't know a thing because all you did was pass a test. That's why credentials, like the multiple credentials, doesn't impress me because you can be really good at passing tests, but until I see your knowledge, it's unimpressive to me, at least, but hey, I'm just saying. So that would be what I would say. But the thing that I will say to close this out is if you are really that scared of taking a medical coding certification or a health information management, health information technology exam, I really think is that you're afraid of your future. You're afraid of being successful. There are people out there who suffer from imposter syndrome, and they say, well, Bleu, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like I deserve this. And actually you do. If you really stop and think about all the things that you know, the hours and the time that you put into studying and everything that you've conditioned yourself to now as a professional versus when you first started, and there's a huge difference there. And that's a person that needs to be acknowledged. And you have to be the one to acknowledge yourself. There's a lot of people that want to wait for others' validation. They want other people to validate them. Oh, you're doing great. Oh, you're doing good. And while it's great to have encouragement, that's not the building of a strong leader. And you don't have to be in a leadership position to be a leader. But it does help when you're in the real world and you're dealing with these alpha personalities. Because these doctors, even these PAs, these nurse practitioners, all of them, all alpha personalities. You get around them surgeons, alpha personalities. And you have to be prepared. But again, you don't have to be in a leadership position to have that energy. I have that energy. I know I have leadership energy because of how I have trained myself and the things that I've learned now versus the way that I was in the beginning of my career when I didn't know better. I didn't know better in the beginning. I'm like, that's not me. And sure enough, now I talk about it with all of you because I want y'all to be strong. I want y'all to get through. I want y'all to be able to meet your goals. It's so wonderful to hear when people are telling me about meeting their goals. And then some of them, they say, well, Bleu, I'm in my late 50s, I'm in my 60s, and I'm doing this, and I got my first job, and I got my certification, and I thank you because you helped me. That is so wonderful to hear. And that's great because that's impacting somebody. And for me, when I see that, I think, okay, good, my message is actually getting out there. Because again, I want y'all to be successful. I want y'all to be strong. And while it's great to get those compliments, it's great to get that validation, it's not where you have to be. You don't have to spend your life chasing and looking for approval. You can do things and you can pave your own way, all right? Because there's a lot of folks out there that they want the way paved for them. And because of that, they lose out on a lot in life. And life, I don't have to remind you guys that life goes by so quick. And by the time you know it, you're looking back on your career. And for some people, they write me and they tell me, I've been miserable this whole time in my career. I want to do something different. I'm thinking about doing medical coding. Well, buckle up, because medical coding is going to make you fight for it. It will make you fight for it, just like it will make you fight for this exam. And when you're getting ready to take your exam, you don't need to be cramming at the last minute, because within the last week, all right, you give yourself at least 5 days off, right? 7 days would be great. 5 days is still good. 3 days is all right. But you give yourself a few days off because you're not going to learn anything new. And that'll give your body time to rest. You can be around your loved ones, so that way they don't feel neglected. They can support you because you're still making the time for them. You don't have to neglect your family and your loved ones just because you're studying medical coding. That's why I tell y'all to take a break after an hour and then, take your break and then come back to it, so that way it can have time to sink in. But don't try to cram all the way to the end, because that is no good. All you're doing is making yourself more nervous. All right? So I hope y'all heed my advice when I say 20 hours a week. Study and use the books that I have down in the description box. Don't tab, write, or highlight like crazy all over your books, because if you're using your books like you're supposed to, you're going to know right where to go in those books. And you're not going to need all that additional writing, because that additional writing is really senseless, because doctors, scholars, they're the ones who write these books. It doesn't need you to add anything to it. Trust me, they've covered everything. It's the people who think that they need to write all over and graffiti all over and put all these colors and tabs and all this stuff. Is that necessary? I'm just saying. And for some people, they say, yes, it is necessary, because that's how I learned. These are not workbooks. Your medical coding manuals are not workbooks. They are reference materials. Treat them as such. If you respect those books, they'll respect you. And if you learn to work with them, and even if you're just taking a Saturday and you open up each and every book and you flip each and every single page, you're going to start learning where things are in those books. I can't tell y'all how many times I've gotten letters from people who say, oh, Bleu, I just discovered that Appendix M in the ICD-10 PCS book. I never knew it was there. That whole time you could have had additional studies. There's hundreds of procedures you can look up in the ICD-10 PCS book from Optum 360 Coding. You guys know I love Optum. Not an ad for Optum, but I love them. I love them and I trust them. And I trust really only them. Of course, I do trust the AMA CPT Professional Edition. That was always a great book as well. But when it comes to the other books for ICD-10-CM, ICD-10 PCS, and even HCPCS, Optum, to me, is the way to go. And that website is in the description box below. So, I'm going to wrap this one up. But guys, schedule your exam. Get ready and get yourself prepared. You're going to do great. And if all else fails and you don't do well, you have to take it again. You're taking it again with experience. All right? So, I'm going to say. So, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.